Hello everyone, this is Kyle Galaz with Poor2Pro Car Sales Training Podcast. Become a sales titan. We are in season 3, episode 4, tough times, how to deal with them. We're going to be going over that right now. The car business right now is a little crazy, and we are entering some tough times. And how do we deal with that? That's what this episode's going to go. We're going to go over. But first, I want to give a shout out, a big fat shout out to Earl Witherspoon. He works at Ron Marhofer Hyundai of Green out of Ohio, Akron, Ohio. And he hooked me up with a nice donation, and I appreciate it, Earl. Earl had a goal last month of 30 units, and the man hit 27. Shooting for the stars and landing on the moon. Great job, Earl. Keep up the good work. Thanks for the positive feedback. Thank you for the donation. Remember, guys, the donations go back into the podcast. I'm reinvesting them back into the podcast. And I appreciate your guys' support. If you guys want to donate, you'll see the links in there for Venmo and PayPal. I appreciate any size donation because it helps me help you. It's a return of investment for you. So I appreciate it. I also want to give a shout out to Ermin Tupkovic out of Sydney, Australia. He was the guy who hired me for a one-on-one over Zoom. We did an hour-long session, and we went over topics that he really needed help on, and I was really happy I could help him on with that stuff. If you guys want to hire me for a one-on-one, message me through Instagram or Facebook. Find me on Facebook, Kyle Galaz. You'll see my descriptions and links and everything in the bios here or the description, so look out for that. So thanks for hiring me for the one-on-one, Ermin. Messed up his name a couple times in the podcast. I'm sorry. I called him Erwin, but his name is Ermin or Ermin, so I appreciate it. Okay, let's get into this episode. Tough times, how to deal with it. First and foremost, you got to remember, tough times come into the car business all the time. Sometimes it comes in the form of a bad month. Sometimes it comes in the form of a bad year, okay? Or the economy, or whatever the scenario is. Stuff happens in our lives that can mess up the car business, okay? I've gone through it a couple times in my career. I was selling cars in 08 and 09, if you guys remember those years when they had the cash for clunkers and they're destroying perfectly good cars to try to reinvigorate the car business. I was there. Ask your grandpa, hey, did you ever go through tough times when you were young, whether it was in the car business or the real world? Of course. That doesn't stop someone from living, right? It just means they're tough times. How do you take those tough times? Is it something you throw in the towel, or is it something you learn from and get better at? Take the tough times that are ahead of you as a learning experience to get better. Don't throw in the towel, okay? So first and foremost, don't panic. Don't panic, okay? Because guess who can detect a salesman that's panicked? Customers. And the more panic you get about not selling, the less you're going to sell. So you can have a little panic on the inside of your gut, but you can never show it, okay? But really, you shouldn't panic at all because you're not going to die, okay? Your heart doesn't stop if you have a tough time in the car business, okay? Just be glad we're alive and we can even show up to a dealership that employed us, and we're happy to have a job that you can get free coffee for the rest of your life, okay? I'm okay with that. So don't panic. Second, I learned this from a guy that's been in the car business probably 1/4 of the time I've been in it, and it's called commission breath. I got to give a shout out to Tony Conda. He's the first guy I've ever heard say that terminology, commission breath. Guess who can smell commission breath? Customers. What I mean by that is not only can they detect panic, shortcuts, a salesman that's going through a rough time, but they can detect and smell your breath if all you're wanting to do is make a sale. Making a sale and helping customers are two different things. Now, they mend together quite well, but when you have commission breath, the customer can smell it and they want to get the heck out of there because all you're trying to do is your agenda. Make a sale, make a commission, not helping them finish their agenda, and that's find a car that they can fall in love with, a salesman they can fall in love with, and a dealership they can love and trust, okay? So you got to get rid of that commission breath. The faster, the better, okay? The sooner, the better. Cover it up with some gum. Gum in the car business to cover up commission breath is putting a big smile on, breathing before you go and up that customer, taking a deep breath and saying, okay, calm down. I'm at 0 cars and it's the 11th. What do I need to do to help this customer? Go back to the basics. don't worry about you being at zero by the 11th, because remember, it's not how you start in the month, it's how you finish. I've seen guys at zero by the 14th finish at 11, 12 cars. Okay? If Earl sold 27 cars that month, let's say he didn't sell anything to the 15th. So divide 27 by 2. What did he sell? 13 and a half cars? Did I do my math right? The guy did pretty good. Is that right? Yeah, I think. It is. Right? So just because you're at zero by the 11th or the 9th doesn't mean you throw in the towel and make the minimum of the dealership offers. Okay? You're not living off the dealership. Okay? You're living off your talent. So never panic, and cover up that commission breath with taking a deep breath and going out there and helping the customer with their agenda, not yours. Okay? I was talking about asking previous generations. Think about what your great-grandpa lived through, these wars. You know, they thought, oh, my goodness, the world's over, right? And they had to go fight wars with guns. All we're having to do is fight really car deals with words. So we have the easy way out. So remember that. It's not that bad, okay? You're not going to die from having a tough month or a tough year. Just stay focused at the task at hand and move forward. Always move forward. Okay, I got to actually be part of a Ken Shamrock podcast. So I don't know if you guys know who Ken Shamrock is. He's basically a UFC legend. You can Google him and you'll probably recognize his face. He was one of the early pioneers of the UFC. He was in UFC 1. He won the Ultimate. I mean, the guy is a savage, right? In the 90s. But when I was on this podcast with him, I got to talk with him and I got to ask him questions. And one question I asked him, and I can put a link to the video. I'll even upload the video. I got it to my YouTube. One of the questions I asked him was, Ken, a guy that's done all that you've done, what keeps you motivated other than money? Because he's a prize fighter, right? Fighters don't fight just to get hurt and have no reward. They want the money, they want the fame. So there's something they fight for. It's a prize fight. They fight for the cash. So I asked Ken, other than the money, what keeps you going? And his answer was, I don't want to ever go backwards. Okay, I never want to go backwards. I will always fight, whether it's in business, whether it's in the octagon, wherever it's at, bare knuckle. I mean, the guy has his own promotion now, but whatever it is, he wants to always move forward because he doesn't want to go backwards. He doesn't want to go back to where he was looking for a family to love him and adopt him, right? He never wants to go back there. He has a great story. And it was really moving. I knew some of the stuff about Ken, but when he talked about that stuff, it was pretty enlightening. So do you think that guy's gone through tough times in his life, being homeless, looking for a parent to love him and a place to live? Yeah, that guy, Ken Shamrock's gone through some tough times. He's lost in the octagon fighting. But the man kept moving forward. It's no different in the car business. No matter what is thrown at us, no matter what things beat us up in the car business, you have to move forward and you have to stay positive, okay? The guys that I've met that are very, very successful, and you've probably met them, are thinking about future successes and not past failures. Think about that. The guys that are successful are thinking about future successes and not dwelling on past failures. If you're going to fail forward. Okay, I'm okay with failure if you're always trying something new and trying to get better at something. Okay, fail forward. Don't dwell on the past. Look to the future. So no matter how gloomy it gets in the car business, hey, I still got tomorrow. I still got the rest of today to try to make a car deal. Don't throw in the towel at 3 o'clock if you've had 2 bad ups and one couldn't get approved. You say, you know what? I still got 6 hours to sell a car. Not, I got 6 hours until I'm off work. How are you thinking about your day? Are you thinking, I got 3 hours to sell a car, or I got 3 hours till I get off? Which mindset do you have, okay? And that goes right into staying focused. You're going to see a lot of guys at the dealership right now huddled up in a huddle and talking, oh my gosh, the books, no one's coming in, the gas prices. They're going to think of every excuse of why they're not selling cars, okay? And then they're going to make every excuse up of why they didn't get a big fat paycheck. But there's a few guys in your dealership right now that are at 7, 8, 9 cars. Guess what? They're not in the huddle. They're not talking about gas prices. The gas prices may bug them, but they're not letting that stop them from selling cars. So you still have to stay positive no matter what is thrown at you in this world, at the dealership. It doesn't matter. You have to stay positive and stay focused at what is in front of you, and what is in front of you is selling a car every single day, every minute you're there, okay? Now, if you go to the dealership right now and you look at your big board, right, all the salesmen, they draw squares or move the little dot of where the salesmen are at. Take note of who's still killing it at the car dealership. What are they doing different? Okay? It's not only staying focused and staying positive. What guys are successful and what are they doing? Let me take some notes. The guys that struggle when times get tough are the guys that are used to selling or picking the low-hanging fruit, quote unquote. Okay? So there's an apple tree. What are the easiest fruit to grab off the apple tree? The low ones, right? The low-hanging fruit. The ones that you can just walk by and it's almost eye level. Oh, there's an apple. Boom. Well, what happens when the apples start drying up a little and they start falling off and you got 19 farmers trying to pick off this apple tree? Okay? Those are the 19 farmers or the 19 salesmen or the 20 salesmen at your dealership. Well, the low-hanging fruit are gone. Everyone picked them. There wasn't that many. Some of them got rotten. So what fruit do you guys have to go for? The fruit that's in the middle of the tree. The fruit that you have to climb for. The fruit that's at the top of the tree. You got to shake that tree. You got to climb the tree. You got to get a giant ladder, okay? You got to invest in a ladder to get that fruit. So the guys that are low on the board right now are the ones used to picking the low-hanging fruit. But guess what? When times get tough, there aren't low-hanging fruit. Or there's only one or two. So what does the guy have to do to get more deals throughout the month? They got to climb the tree. They got to work twice as hard to get that middle fruit. Or they got to work triple as hard to get that fruit that's at the top of the tree. No different in the car business. You're the farmer. There's only one apple on the low-hanging fruit part of the tree. So what do we got to do? We got to double down on work ethic to get more car deals. Okay? If you're used to working, Joe Verdi said this, if you're used to working 3 hours a day and you're selling 10 cars a month, what would happen if you worked 9 hours a day? Would you sell 30? Well, guess what Earl did? Okay? That man worked every day, every shift, every minute. He sold 27 cars. The guy that sold 5 or 6 last month, guess what he did? He was at the dealership 9 hours, but only worked 2 a day. So for you to succeed in a tougher month, you have to double down or triple down on your work ethic. You got to write that down and you got to get it in your brain that I'm going to be at the dealership for 9 hours. I need to work every minute possible except for when I need a break, when I got to go to the bathroom, and when I have lunch. I'm okay with that. Okay? But don't make the whole day a break and then have car deals in between, customers in between. Okay? So double and triple down. Okay? We talked about looking at the big board, looking at the numbers, but another thing you got to do is enjoy your career, okay? Sometimes when the months get tough, you got to go back to why did you get in this car business? You got in the car business because you love cars, you love helping people, and you love making money, okay? So go back to those first two. The money will come as long as you're okay with loving cars and loving helping customers, okay? It's just in these months, you got to get a little more creative on how to get customers in front of you. We could talk about that too in this episode. Here's something that a salesman told me 15 years ago. He said, Kyle, don't worry about it. I go, what do you mean don't worry about it? He said, in 200 years, does it matter? And I sat and thought, and that has stuck with me for 15 years. I go, what do you mean 200 years? He goes, yeah, in 200 years, does your bad month matter? I'm like, well, no, I won't even be around in 200 years. He's good. Exactly. Just relax, enjoy your job, go out and help customers. There's a month I did 2.5 cars. You don't think I was stressed out? Around 2009, I think, when times got real tough. Of course I was stressed out. The next month, though, I was salesman of the month because I told myself that would never happen again. But that's around the time that this gentleman told me that. In 200 years, it's not going to matter. So don't take yourself too seriously. Stay focused and keep pressing forward every day, like Ken Shamrock. Enjoy your career. Make good choices. And when I talk about make good choices, it's not just make good choices at work and your career at the dealership with customers. Make good choices outside of work. How do you represent the dealership outside of work? How are you with your money? Okay, are you saving? Things like that, because when the times are good, the dealership definitely needs you, right? Oh man, there's customers everywhere. I need coverage. Come on, guys, we need to hire some people, okay? But when times get bad and you got all these bills and you got to ditch the dealership and hope that there's a better dealership, well, that's when the dealership needs you also. So you got to make good decisions outside of the dealership also. So that way, when times get tough, the dealership's going to need your help to step up and double and triple down on your work ethic, okay? Believe in yourself, believe in the car business and the process. So let's talk about some things that you can do to get customers in. 12% of our car sales last month were from Facebook posts. Sold 179 units. A little bit lower month for us as far as units go, but we sold 179 pre-owned vehicles, and 12% of it was from Facebook posts. One guy did 16 units, 8 of them were from Facebook posts. So you got to be creative on getting customers in, no matter how you do it. If the foot traffic's not there, then you need to make foot traffic. You need to be your own CEO and your own advertising company. So posting on Facebook's a big one. Posting on Instagram's a big one. Going live on Instagram and showing off a car and viewers popping in and getting to interact. Is that out of your comfort zone? Absolutely. Being on camera, a lot of people don't like being on camera, but if you want to adapt and be successful in today's world, you're going to have to do those things, okay? So you need to be on social media. That's where I'm going with it. Be on social media, have a great presence, put out good content. If it's a different language, a social media thing to you, then you got to learn it. Just like you got to learn a different language if you go to another country. Same thing on social media. You got to learn that language, okay? What about visiting businesses? When I was on the floor, I'd walk to businesses around the dealership and give them my card and just say, hey, if you guys ever need a car, I'm the new guy in town. I have no customer base. I'm hoping that I can drum up some business. People like helping people. The world's not all bad. So I'd pass them out. Then I thought, man, why don't I get a box of donuts, tape a bunch of my cards to it, and go deliver it to a real estate office or to a bank or wherever and say the same thing. Hey, I'm the new guy in town. I don't have a lot of customers, but a customer base, but I'm trying to build relationship with businesses. Here's a box of donuts and a bunch of my cards. Donuts are the first thing to a person's heart. Trust me. You bring me a donut, you're my best friend. Okay? So you got to get creative. Is that out of your comfort zone? Absolutely. It's the craziest thing to do. What do you mean go bring donuts to a stranger? If you don't try it, you don't know if it works. Think about how many things we don't try because we're scared. We don't try because it's out of our comfort zone. But how many of those things probably work? Okay? So if you're having a tough time getting customers to walk on the lot, you need to go out and get them. I knew a guy a long time ago that would walk across the street to the gas station when he would see someone pumping gas that was in a beater. And he'd go over there and introduce himself. My name's Scott. And he would talk about what programs we have. And every once in a while, they'd follow him right on over. They would try to get approved. And probably 50% of them bought a car if he could get them over to the dealership. He had a great closing rate if he can get them over. Okay, so Scott was trying to get creative because times were slow. That was way past my comfort zone, but I watched the man sell cars from it. He had a 13 car average or so in a little Lodi Ford store that's now closed down, probably because Scott quit. Okay, so there's a lot of things that can go on in a salesman's mind when times get tough. They start doubting themselves. They start thinking, am I in the right business? Should I go get a job somewhere else? You got to zap that from your brain and you got to tell yourself, I am a career car salesman and I'm not going to fail. Okay? And you got to do the right things to get customers in front of you. You have to stay active all day. For every action, there's an equal reaction, right? If you sit at your desk and do nothing, no one shows up. If you sit at your desk and do 100 calls, 500 emails, and 50 texts in that few days or a week, what's going to happen? Your phone's going to be blowing up. So you have to have an action to get the reaction. The reaction is people start showing up and buying cars. But there has to be action. Okay, so stay out of the huddle. You can't panic. You don't get that commission breath. Think about all the things that your grandparents and your fathers and your mothers have gone through in their life to raise you. They've gone through hard times, and guess what? They're still kicking butt. Okay? Stay focused, stay positive. Remember the low-hanging fruit analogy. Double and triple down your work ethic. And remember this, in 200 years, it doesn't even matter anyway. So stay positive and stay happy, and just be happy that we have a place to go every day that gives us free coffee. And we get to sell cars and make people's dreams come true every day. That's all I got for you in this episode. If you have questions or anything specific, you can always message me on Facebook. If you want to set up on a one-on-one, message me. We get on Zoom. I send you the link. It's super easy. It's pretty awesome how we do it. And then if you do want to donate to the podcast, I humbly accept, because it's going to help the podcast grow into something great. My goal, and I'm putting this out there in the universe, my goal is to become the #1 car sales trainer in the USA. If it's the world, great. I just got to learn some more languages. But I'm going to make it happen. And guess what? You guys are the ones helping me get there. It's not my podcast. It's our podcast. So anyone that's donated and I give them a shout out, you think you're going to be forgotten? You're going in the history books of this dealership, or this podcast. Okay? Who knows? Maybe one day I'll have a dealership and you can be a part of it. So anything you guys do to support me goes in the record books, and you're a part of this podcast. So it's not my podcast, it's our podcast. So I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.